Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everyone in between, I am OverHugs, and I'd like to welcome you back to Building Bread. Thanks for choosing to join us on the adventure today. Today we're at our base because I want to show you some of the changes that we made since the previous couple of episodes. We've gone through and created this lovely bridge now that goes down to our textured and detailed lighthouse with a final end dock that we've got, and it looks so much better. There's still more to do, but it's Minecraft. There's always more to do. So that's what we're working on right now. And we can walk off the dock and now up to our storage area for our cactus farm, which I've gone over in a previous episode, so I won't make you go through and sit through this again. We also have converted our world to 1.16.4, which is great because it allows us now to barter for blackstone. And I'm really looking forward to doing that because gathering all the blackstone for this roof was not so much fun. But now we'll have a renewable source since we have an excellent gold. But neither of those things are things that we're doing today. What we're going to do today is we're going to continue our work from our Wither Rose farm and make ourselves another skeleton farm. And to do that, we need to hop ourselves back into the Nether. So let's end up flying out to our Blaze farm. We cut this tunnel a while back, and it is definitely not exactly what I would call the world's greatest Nether hub. This is something that I do want to enhance in a later episode, but I still have to design it. It is not fantastic, as you can see, by all the giant holes everywhere and the fact that it's mostly made of netherrack. We did, however, go through, and I'm talking. See, that's what you get when I'm talking. We went through and spawn-proofed this entire fortress. Like, as you notice, there's no mobs actually spawning on the fortress itself, except for that one little corner where evidently I missed, and you can tell exactly why spawn-proofing is valuable, because there's 4 mobs on that one little corner that evidently the spawn-proofing has missed. But for the remainder of this, we have gone through and spawn-proofed, and I'll come back and get that later off camera. In addition, we have spawn-proofed the entire area here. This is a soul sand valley, and the good thing about soul sand valleys is they don't spawn a lot of mobs. Like, as you can see, there's really not much here and not much is spawning. But we do have this entire fortress that has no mobs on it, and that's because we've placed slabs on top of every single one of these blocks. And you can see that if I knock one out, we can replace it. But why have we done this? Well, simple answer. We want to take the crossroads that we found as part of our blaze spawner over here and turn it into a wither skeleton farm. We had kind of an unbelievable event here in that we have a double blaze spawner right here, and over here is not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 intersections that are all right next to each other. This is pretty amazing. You don't see this very often in nether fortresses where you can do this kind of a build. And we're still going to have some spawns here where they will go through on the bounding boxes, but I can clean that out at a future point. But it's still not going to be very much. As you've seen, we should be swamped with mobs, and we're really not. We're not getting so at all. So if we're going to build ourselves a wither skeleton farm, how do we do that? Well, the first step involves a lot of digging. Basically, what you want to do is you want to find the middle of the intersections. And this is what the intersection looks like. That's basically all you have to worry about. And you can spawn 3 platforms that will spawn wither skeletons in here. And if you remember, wither skeletons are 3 blocks high. So that means that we need to dig down several blocks in order to clear this out. And we want to do it a certain area away. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to clear out this entire area here, but I'm not going to be too greedy. I think we're going to start with 2 intersections. We'll do this intersection and this intersection, and these 2 will form the beginning of our wither skeleton farm. If we don't quite have enough throughput, we can always add 2 more, but I'm kind of betting that with these 2, that will provide all the beacons we'll ever need, and then some. So all that being said, why don't we take a super speed potion and get into a clearing time lapse? All right, so let's have some real talk for a second here. I went and I recorded a whole bunch of time lapses going through and clearing and building up the platforms, and you know what? It was really boring when I went back and looked at it. So we're not going to have a time lapse this time. I think you deserve more interesting content than that, and it was pretty dull. Just watching my character run back and forth, clearing out an area, and basically just placing buttons. So the farm's done. This is basically what a wither skeleton farm looks like. This is not the most advanced wither skeleton farm, nor is it the one that will get you the absolute maximum amount of skulls, but it is a very simple wither skeleton farm to build. There's a couple of changes that some of the modern ones do, involving portals and coaxing the wither skeletons through those, but they either only work in single player or they require 2 people in a multiplayer server. You also can use piglins in place of iron golems, but if you look at our map, we're not getting a piglin anywhere around here. This is one of the reasons why this is such an attractive area, because we don't have to spawn proof any of this. We'd have to go all the way over to one of these biomes and basically cart it all the way back, and I don't wanna. So we can just build iron golems. So why don't we go down to the killing chamber, and I'll grab OverHugs, and we can go over the farm itself. All right, and now we're on OverHugs, so let's go over the basics of the farm. There are 3 spawning platforms here that wither skeletons can spawn on, and I've coated all of them with wither roses. This basically makes it so that nothing other than wither skeletons can farm, because wither skeletons won't be hurt by wither roses, but every other mob will. This is very similar to what we did when we were creating our gold farm, and when we used the magma blocks because nothing but zombified piglins could spawn on it. In case you didn't know, all skeletons are terrified of dogs. They will immediately run up to 6 blocks away, just like creepers do with cats. So that's basically what we're doing, is we're using dogs here to herd the skeletons that spawn away. As you can see, he's scared and he's trying to run and he's trying to run, and eventually he will bounce around to the point of where he will see the iron golem, which they have an attract distance of 16 blocks. So once the skeleton is done running around in fear, and this one is pathfinding about as poorly as you possibly can, I've never seen one actually last this long. So here you can see a pack of skeletons that have spawned, and they're bouncing around back and forth until eventually they do see the iron golem, and then they run towards it and try and attack and drop down into the killing chamber below. So that was basically perfect and exactly how it should be. I am missing a trapdoor here, which I will have to fix. There's a couple of problems with the design of this farm, which I've done very simply, and one of which is occasionally one of the dogs will get hit by a wither skeleton. So most of the time, putting the glass over the head like this will fix it, but I left this one off and you can see this dog is no longer with us, sadly. One of the ways that we can fix this is by putting the dogs like this outside, but remember that dogs only have a 6-block radius that they will scare skeletons, so that may not be enough in order for it to be able to see the iron golem, because if we turn on the bounding boxes, you can see where the iron golems and where the skeletons are looking. This is 3 layers, and that's the maximum you can build within the bounding box of the fortress intersection. We're going all the way up to the top of where it can spawn and all the way to the bottom. And this is off the center of the fortress. If you remember, when we looked at the crossroads, we marked the center. You also can specifically go through and download a mod called Bounding Box Outlines. I've now turned on the bounding boxes so you can see exactly where they are. Anywhere that is within the red lines here will allow the spawning of fortress mobs. So you can see our entire farm here allows the spawning of wither skeletons. And only wither skeletons, because we've placed wither roses to make it only spawnable to them, and buttons everywhere else to make it unspawnable for everything. If you go to another intersection here, this is a different part of the fortress that we've already spawn-proofed, you can see sometimes that these bounding boxes go outside of the existing corridors. And this is why we've spawn-proofed the areas outside the crossroads too. Because these are within the bounding box of the fortress, they don't conform to the same rules as the rest of the Soulsound Valley biome. They will spawn fortress mobs in here, even though this is technically not a crossroads. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you go through and you build this yourself in your own world. Another thing to note is that if you look Wither roses are not consistent on where they're placed in the blocks. It looks like we're missing blocks here, but we're actually not, because I was very careful to go through and place them. This is something you'll have to do yourself, because if you build this, it becomes very simple to miss a spawning spot, and if you do that, you will get things other than wither skeletons in your farm, which, if you have not constructed your killing chamber properly, could lead to blazes coming down and potentially killing you while you're AFK. So just be careful. The other thing to note in the construction of this farm is if you look down here, you see lava. And the reason we have lava is because we want to catch the wither skeletons, so that when they come here into the lava itself, they will slow down. Wither skeletons are 100% resistant to fire, so this will take the variable falling distance that we'll have from these 3 different platforms and normalize it, so that from here there's just one thing to go, and let's go into this very terrifying group of wither skeletons and come into our killing chamber here where OverHugs is sitting. So because what we've done basically is we've maxed out the mob cap with just wither skeletons, no more are going to come down. This is kind of cool. Alright, I'm going to switch back over to OverHugs and walk you through this chamber itself. And now we're back on OverHugs in the kill chamber itself. And you can see there are a lot of wither skeletons here. Because we've calculated the fall damage carefully, we can just walk in here and go whack, and they all die. This is pretty good, both from experience and from loot. And let's go and see what we've gotten from loot. So if we come down here to where these chests are, these are the main things that you're going to get out of wither skeleton farms. You're going to get skulls, coal, and bones. In addition, you're going to get a lot of stone swords, but we want nothing to do with those. So those will all come through this dropper, and they will all be ejected. So if we look at the skulls, this is from running for about an hour. This is pretty good. Like, it's definitely not the maximum throughput that we could do, but it's decent. It's more than enough for a single player, or even small multiplayer servers. You will get a lot of coal. So if you ever need coal for projects, this is definitely a good way to get it, as well as it is for bones. This is about an hour's worth of bones, and note how many we have. This is another one of the reasons why I wanted to do it, because we need a tree farm in the near future, but that's another episode. And this is a good way to get the bone meal that we need for it. So this is just a very basic killing chamber. I did some base decorating, and I kind of liked the idea of it being completely immersed in lava, kind of the opposite of what we wanted to build for our storage area. This just screams villain's lair. So we had a superhero cave and a villain's lair for our wither skeletons, and we can just climb up the vine here to get back to this area itself. And again, you've seen just in the time we've been talking, we've pretty much filled up the chamber again, so we can just come up here, kill them all again, get a whole bunch of stuff all over again. And you see we picked up at least another skull. So that's basically this chamber here, and this is done down in this area, which is pretty far down in the world. Turning my mini-map back on, you can see we're at Y32 when we come in here, and our killing chamber is at 29. We could definitely go lower if we wanted to, but because we're in a soul sound valley, there's no real reason to. The despawn is not going to be big here. Even with the minimal amount of spawn proofing we've done, which again was just 2 fortresses, we're still getting a lot of skeletons. And you saw there one died on the fall. And that's because occasionally what will happen is due to pathfinding, they will come and they will clip the very top of the bottommost column there, or the iron golem will get a swing in if they get too close by their pathfinding. And that reduces the efficiency a little bit, but quite frankly, it's not enough to worry about. So why don't we take some of our loot and go do something useful with it, like a stack of skulls. One thing I did want to take a minute is say thank you to the community here, because we managed to make our first donation to food pantries. As part of people supporting on Patreon and other methods, I was able to donate $25 to a local food pantry, and that's awesome. This is the mission of that channel in the first place, so I am so grateful that we were able to do it together. And thank you to my Patreons and other folks who gave money and donated to the channel so that we could do this together. Thank you. I could not have done this without you. And I can hear you going, Hugs, what are we doing here in the end? This is not the normal place I think of when I think of the Wither. You went through and battled it in a cave last time and had this triumphant victory where you dug down into the ground and created all this stuff and went through all this trouble, and no. We're not doing that again. We're going to cheese it. And the way you can go through and cheese the Wither in this fight is to make it really easy by digging down underneath this bedrock where the end portal spawns. And if you remember, when we defeated the dragon, this was all filled in, which is why it's this lovely color of black. But what we want to do is get under it. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll be right back. So now we've cleared this area out, and the important thing to do here is to come underneath and find the exact center of this group of bedrock. It is the part that corresponds to this pillar right here, because that's what we want to do, is we want to trap the Wither in so it can't get out because the bedrock is above it and it's trapped within the bedrock itself. So if we look and find the exact middle, it's 2 in on both sides. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. So this is the exact middle. And what you want to do is you want to put it directly below, like this. You don't need this one here. I just use that as a temporary block, and I probably should have used something other than obsidian. But this is where you want to spawn the Wither. This is where its tail is going to go. So what we need to do down here is make the shape of the Wither. This is where our soul sand is going to go. So you make this generic T just like we did before, and you take your soul sand and you put your soul sand on top in the same exact area. So by the time you're done, it looks like this. This is the tail of your Wither, which should be directly in the middle there. Like, if it is not in the middle, this will not work. So be extra careful and make sure you've done this the right way. You should also be placing it like this, so there's one block of air in between the bedrock and the soul sand. So make sure you triple check this before you summon, because if you do it wrong, the Wither will escape and it will wreak havoc on your entire end here, and it will not be an easy or fun fight. So now that we've done it, let's go through and summon it and see what happens. All right, and now let's see if we've gotten it right. 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. And let's get out of the way to get ready for the explosion. And you'll notice there are 2 Wither health bars because our one is still active over there from the farm. So you can have as many as you want. And look at that. We've done it properly. The Wither is here desperately trying to attack things, and it can't really do much of anything. So let's just go through here and also get rid of this friend that has come and decided to be a part of our fun. But we can just go and attack the Wither with impunity. It cannot get us. We are 100% safe under here, and we can literally just sit here and attack. And it's already down to 50% health. We've gone. This is nice and easy. And cheese. So we got ourselves a star and a Wither head, which is great. But the best thing about this? We can do it again. And again. And even again. And there we go. We've beaten the Wither several times in a row with absolutely no risk to ourselves whatsoever. 10 fights and 10 nether stars later, you can see that there are 4 different types of heads that the Wither can drop. So if you're going through and you're playing on the same packs as I am, be sure to collect all 4. Gotta catch them all after all. And isn't that just lovely? If you didn't know, putting a piece of glass on top of a beacon will change the color of the beam that goes all the way up, so you can get a really cool rainbow effect, or whatever you'd like to do. And with that, we're going to call it an episode today. Once again, I wanted to thank you for choosing to spend your time on the adventure with me. I am OverHugs, and this has been Building Bread. As a reminder, I donate the profits I make off of this to local food banks. So if you've enjoyed or otherwise gotten something valuable out of this today, I would really appreciate it if you could like, subscribe, or tell a friend. Together, we can help people that are in need. I hope you have the most wonderful of days, and I'll see you soon.